everyone, and welcome back. I wanted to talk to you now that I've gotten all that off my chest about being fearlessly authentic and really drilling into the meaning of being fearlessly authentic and why it might be so hard to do it every day. But I think that if we all strive to do it, we can have the lives that we want. Behind all of that, the other reason that I brought it up and wanted to talk about this today is that I've been living alone for a while. As I've shared on the show, that I'm separated and have filed for divorce. I had my first hearing about 2 weeks ago. That's another story for another day. Um, but I'm experiencing living alone for the first time in my life. Yes, if you're driving in the car and you're shaking your head like, oh my God, Jody, seriously? Yes, seriously. I'm 64 years old, and this is the first time I've lived alone. The closest to living alone came when both of my daughters were out of the house. So one left for college, then 4 years later, the other one left for college. And that's when I was completely alone. But I knew they were still coming home. So that didn't really feel like alone, even though it was. But I had a boyfriend at the time. And so then we moved in together. So I really didn't have time to digest being alone. And then we broke up, and then I was on my own for like 2 months. And then I met my now husband, who I'm divorcing. So I have been experiencing so much joy being alone. And I'd love to know. So please DM me, please message me, please get in touch with me. I want to know how many women who are listening right now in their 60s has ever lived alone. I got married when I was 25. So I went from college to living with a roommate to moving back with my parents to getting married, moving in with, and then my husband and I got married. And then blah, blah, blah. So here I am at 64. And I walk around feeling so grateful. I walk around feeling so happy that it's just me and Ava, my dog, that I know this sounds ridiculous, that the freedom and the autonomy is just overwhelming. I'm not compromising. I'm not trying to find ways to make the other person happy. I have my own routines. Nobody's asking me like where I'm going, what I'm doing, why this is here, why are you listening to that, why are you on the phone? It's nothing. It's just peace and quiet. There's freedom to come and go as I please. There is no expectations from anyone except Ava, who I have to feed and I have to walk. Other than that, it's been blissful. And I know that it's easier said than done because a lot of women do fear living alone, that they might be lonely. The truth is, think about the relationship that you're in right now. Do you feel alone or lonely in that relationship? I know that I much rather be alone than lonely. And that's where I am right now. I'm alone, not lonely. And sometimes when we're in relationships, we feel very, very lonely. And I'd love to know who has been in a relationship where they have felt lonely, lonely, and alone while you're living with somebody else. It's the worst feeling in the world. And I think that if we think about feeling alone and happy, rather than thinking that we're going to be lonely and scared, what's there to be afraid of? Are you a person who needs to be with somebody all the time? Have you ever tried living alone? Now, for me, I wasn't ever scared of living alone. I just never had the opportunity because I got married so early. And and then I was raising my daughters. I wasn't going to, I have my daughters with me. Of course, I'm not going to be living alone. And then when they left, I remember, so my youngest left when around the time I turned 50. So she left her freshman year when I turned 50. And this is going to sound really silly. I never drank at home by myself ever. And I remember like a few weeks after she left for college, I'm like, oh, I think I would like a bottle of wine or a glass of wine tonight. And I remember going into the liquor store and getting a bottle of wine and thinking, whoa, I'm really living on the wild side here. I bought a bottle of wine at 50 years old, and I'm gonna just open that bottle of wine and I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna drink it, and nobody's gonna ask me why I'm drinking wine. No judgment. And I remember that was 14 years ago. And I remember that feeling of freedom, but it was still their home and they were still coming, not that they can't come where I am right now either. But this is different. They're in their 30s. I'm in my 60s. It's a different season of life. And I am just ecstatic to live alone. I don't think that I would ever live with somebody again. I'm saying that right now. I'm saying that right now. I just don't think, I think there comes a time in our life where we do know ourselves really well and we do embrace our freedom and our autonomy. And but I also think that there's a time where we don't want to self-isolate, right? For where I am right now, I'm doing a little isolation, but I like that. I need to do that. And I feel like I'm in hibernation, and that when the spring comes, can a few of you relate to this? Like you're hibernating, you're working on things, whether you're at the gym and you're working to get into the best shape as you can, you're eating really clean. And by the way, we're going to talk about that also, because one of the things that I don't talk a lot about on this show is my fitness and nutrition coaching, what I offer one-on-one, and how that's been my passion. I mean, you all know that. If you're listening, you all know that about me. But I don't make the show about that every single week because there are a million fitness shows. This is a lifestyle show, and fitness and nutrition are at the foundation of it. So if you're going through something right now, one of the things that I would encourage you to do if you're thinking about leaving a relationship and you don't feel confident, I want you to write down what life looks like for you to to be the healthiest version of yourself, mind, body, and soul. And the way we feel in our body affects the way we feel about ourselves. So if we're not healthy, it's hard to keep our mind super healthy because we're going to speak negatively to ourselves. And so I encourage you to get into the best shape, health of your life, to get healthy. Doesn't need to be the best shape of your life, but being the healthiest version of you will more than likely get you into the best shape of your life. And if you need help, please reach out to me, because I am training men and women one-on-one, and I would love to help you. And so going back to living alone, I don't want you to fear being lonely, because you'll always have yourself. And having a strong support system is always incredibly helpful to have. But sometimes we don't have the luxury of having a strong support system like I did when I got divorced. And I stressed and struggled through those hard times alone. And it's okay. It made me stronger. But what I wish for every one of you who are listening is that if you are in an unhappy place in your life with your significant other, you don't have to stay. One of the things that I know that so many women fear about living alone is will I have the money to live alone? Can I afford to do this? Leaving a marriage that you've been in for 30 or 35 years, depending on that person, and then suddenly saying, how am I going to be able to take care of myself? Well, first of all, you'll probably be able to get some money if you've been married 30, 35 years and you haven't worked, but I'm not a lawyer. But remember, you have put a lot of effort into that relationship. Just saying, depending on where you live. And you shouldn't fear living alone, because think about what your life is right now. Wouldn't it be more fun to come and go as you please rather than being stuck where you are? I know it would be, and trust me, I and I was scared to leave the relationship I was in as well, but I didn't let the fear stop me. And that's not to say, oh, you're great, Jody. Good for you, Jody. I'm saying that I used to be a self-proclaimed scaredy cat. And if I didn't continue to take risks on myself and realize that if I don't take risks, I can't grow, and that I would just stay stagnant and then just die a slow death, not to be dramatic, but that's how I felt in my marriage, that I was dying a slow death. Look at the alternative. Like, you have a life to live. You're not old. You have a life to live. Look at yourself in the mirror. You know how much you can give for yourself to others. Why are you wasting your time staying in a relationship that's not giving you joy or making you happy? And I hope maybe those are enough reasons for you to start thinking about how you could either make the relationship work or face the fact that you've tried everything and that maybe it's time to move on. I'm not here to encourage anybody to leave their relationship. I want you to make it the best you possibly can. But if you're like me and you've tried everything and you're very self-aware and it's still not working, then you've got to be honest with yourself. You will find so much joy being alone and not lonely. Doesn't that sound wonderful? Being alone and not lonely, because that lonely feeling is really, really sad. And it could distract us from accomplishing other things in life. At least that's what it was doing for me. Living alone has given me the peace and the quiet from the chaos that I was living in to get my thoughts together, to be creative, and to love myself again. Because as women, we so often take care of everybody else, make sure everybody else is okay. Or if you are a people pleaser, you know what it's like to take care of everybody else. You know what happens when we're trying to please everybody else and make sure that everybody else is okay? We forget about ourselves. And then we become resentful and we get angry. We have contempt. None of those feelings make us feel light and beautiful and airy. They make us feel dark and heavy. And that's a lot for us as women to hold on our shoulders. And for some of you men who are listening too, I know I'm speaking about my experiences as a woman, because women are different from men. We are different. We think differently. We feel things differently. So I want you to think about where you are in your relationship right now. And have you tried everything you can? Has that person met you halfway? Can you come to an agreement, a compromise? as to how you want to live your lives together. And honestly, I feel that if you can't, then you have to move on for your own mental wellness. Part of what I was talking about, having the freedom and the autonomy, also comes the emotional and mental well-being, as I just described. Being lonely in a relationship is depressing. Feeling like your voice isn't being heard is depressing. It's sad. It's even embarrassing to yourself, knowing that, how did I get here, right? Have you ever felt embarrassed, mortified about your situation? How did I get here? I can't tell my friends. This is too embarrassing. I didn't tell my friends. My really, really good friends kind of knew something was going on. They always do if they're your really good friends, and they'll give you this space to figure things out, and they'll give you their heart, and they'll give you their ear to listen to. And for those ladies out there, you know who you are, and I appreciate you. And the most women need the peace. We all need the peace. But living alone has brought me less stress, more peace, and an incredible amount of mental clarity. So when we come back from the break, our last break, we'll talk more about this, because I don't want you staying in a relationship where you feel sad. You deserve more. Hello again. Welcome back. I wanted to talk more about living alone as women and not fearing being lonely. I can't tell you exactly how you're going to feel if you make that big step, but I can almost guarantee that if you have been thinking about it and you've taken that big step to move on and live alone, that you are going to find contentment like you've never felt. I walk around here with such a big smile on my face because I get to eat whatever I want, whenever I want, without being judged. I can be messy. I can I can do anything I want to do. I can watch any TV show without a comment. I could stay up all night without any judgment. And at first, it felt really, really weird. Like, oh, wait, there's nobody here. Not that I was ever, he never told me what to do, but passive like comments here and there that would make me feel uncomfortable and let me know that I was being judged for sure. And I remember like at the beginning thinking, hmm, wait a minute, I have to do this because this is what I was used to doing. But the truth was, I didn't have to do anything I didn't want to do. I could sit on the couch all day and scroll all day if I wanted to. But as I mentioned in the last segment, that I was blown away at how much mental clarity came like flooding into my brain. I thought, where has this been? Like, I didn't even know because I was dying. I was dying a slow death. I was dying of loneliness. I had my friends that I would see, but I really started isolating myself in the house and just being really quiet. And I knew that wasn't me. I stopped taking risks. At the beginning of the show, I told you that I started believing in myself more. I started stepping into my power more. I started taking more risks. And the more risks that I took, I became more self-aware. And the more risks I took and had success, that built my confidence and my self-esteem. And here I was in my 60s, not losing my self-esteem or confidence, but for the first time in my life, the first time in my life since I couldn't even remember when, I was losing my drive. I was losing my ambition. I felt like I was losing my edge. I was becoming numb to everything. And I thought, there's got to be a better way to live. So I think for me, I was at a point where I just couldn't take it anymore. And I think a lot of us wake up one day and say, I'm not going to do this anymore. It's your intuition. It's when you actually lean into your gut and your intuition and you don't allow fear to stop you from doing any of the things that your gut is telling you to do. And my last episode, I talked a lot about following your gut. So I won't repeat myself. You'll have to listen to the previous episode. But it's that gut instinct when you feel like maybe there's danger nearby, you're in a dark hallway or you're scared about something, that's your gut telling you fear, fear, be alert, fear is here. Or if you're in a loving situation and you could fall into your feminine energy with that person because you feel safe. When you feel safe, you're not looking around, you're not alert, you're not on guard because in that situation, you're following your gut, you're following your intuition. I feel safe here. I can relax my shoulders. I feel safe. So when we start getting all of those feelings, we need to lean into them. And I think that maybe women my age, women in their 60s, maybe women older, feel that they need to stay where they are because what else should they do? I think that trend might be changing a little bit. I have met a lot of women in their 60s who have been divorced or are alone, but I'm talking more about the divorced women that they're empowered to take on their own lives and have that autonomy, have that freedom to live the life that they want to live instead of living and being held down by the shackles to keep you in that box, in that unhappy, stagnant box of life that just because you said you would marry this person, stay with this person for the rest of your life, you're still here because you're sticking to your vows, and that's commendable. But isn't happier more commendable? Isn't feeling joy a better feeling? I'm all about integrity, and that a handshake is a handshake, an agreement on dotted line is an agreement. Marriage is different. There are a lot of moving pieces. It's not just one transaction. It's a lot of moving pieces, and communication is key. I think that women are waking up. I think there are a lot of women my age that are waking up and saying, I'm not going to do this anymore. And I'm not here to encourage you to leave your marriage at all. But I'm here to say that if you're unhappy, write down what you're unhappy about. Maybe it's you. Maybe you need to get a job. Maybe you need to leave a job. Maybe you need to travel more. If your significant other doesn't like to travel, maybe then you say to that person, your significant other, I want to travel more. So I'm going to be traveling with so-and-so 3 times a year. Because just because we marry that person doesn't mean that we have to do everything with them. Sure, in a perfect world, would it be great if they're your best friend or the person you have the most fun with, they're the person you want to do everything with? Of course. I think we would all get sick of them after a while, but I'm just saying. I just want you to know that you are not responsible to make the whole friggin' world happy. You are here to take care of the people you love because you want to, and to take care of your own mental well-being and happiness. I've mentioned the retreat that I went on and in June, and how it really changed my life and shifted my mindset, something I never believed would be true because I'm cynical about those things. And I didn't believe that there was anybody who could help me shift my mindset, but it was me, right? At the end of the day, it's us. We have the power to shift our mindset, and the people around us impact it. And I was around so many incredible women that between the women and everything that we did on the island just impacted me completely, life-changing. And I know there are a lot of women who feel that they need permission to leave an unhappy situation, whether it's a friendship or a relationship, and they feel that they need permission. So here you go, ladies. I'm giving you permission to talk to your significant other about why you're not happy. I'm giving you permission to talk to a therapist, go to see a healer, find out what is at the root of your unhappiness. Because we can't blame somebody else for our unhappiness because it takes two to tango, right? So I'm not here blaming my husband for my unhappiness. It was what I was tolerating. And I saw a quote the other day, what we tolerate, what we get used to, we tolerate. What we tolerate, we allow. And I was tolerating certain things. I was allowing these things until one day I woke up and I said, I'm not doing it anymore. And that's what I was talking about. You wake up one day and you get a gut punch, and that gut's telling you, hey, Jody, it's time to change. It's time to change the situation. We can't spend our life blaming other people. We have to look inside ourselves to figure out, what is it that I want? What is it that I need? Have I communicated my needs and my wants and my desires to my significant other? Has that person responded? Do they want to help? Do they want to meet me in the middle? Do they want to help me clap my hands? And at some point or another, you decide that that person's never going to come. Because as Mel Robbins says, nobody's going to come to save you. You are going to save yourself. And if it means leaving and living by yourself and being the happiest person in the friggin' world because you live by yourself and you get to do whatever the hell you want to do, then friggin' do it and stop letting fear get in the way. No. Stop letting fear get in the way. And the reason I'm so friggin' passionate about it is because I let fear get in my way for so many years. Even in my marriage, I allowed fear to get in the way. I was like, I'm not getting divorced again. This will be embarrassing. No, Jody, that's my own shit. How am I going to be happy? I'm the only one who can make me happy because I have to love myself first. And if I'm looking for other people to love me, to make me feel loved, that's a waste of time. Now, a lot of you younger kids probably know that already, but a lot of people my age don't know that yet. Okay, so I want to leave you with a few thoughts. One of them is don't let fear get in the way of anything that you want to do. Please reach out to me if you want to talk about any of these things. I am here. I get it. Number two, I am co-leading a retreat from April 30th to May 4th in Playa del Carmen. It is going to be fantastic. We are going to be yoga paddling. I think it's called SUP or SUP. I'm sorry, I'm not a yogi, but my co-leader is the yoga person. She will also be teaching spin because she loves that. I do not. And she's been running retreats for about 5 or 10 years. So she is just an expert at this. I'm going to be teaching strength classes and I am going to be breaking down nutrition in the simplest way for all of you to understand this. It is the ultimate fitness retreat, but don't let the name scare you. You do not have to have any fitness background whatsoever. You don't need to spin. You don't need to know how to do yoga. You don't even have to know how to lift a weight because we are going to be there to teach you. This is for all of you, men and women who want to press that reset button, who want to get out of the cold. By the time April 30th comes, you are going to want to be in the warm weather. It is beautiful. We're going to be on the beach. We're going to enjoy Playa del Carmen. It's at the Grand Hyatt. So go to my Instagram or go to my website, jodyharrison.com. I'm Jody Harrison Bauer everywhere. And please grab a spot. We're limiting it to only 15 people. We want this to be an intimate group of people where you all feel very safe to share things because we are going to be doing breath work and we are going to be challenging ourselves in mindful ways and physical ways. But again, don't let that scare you. This is about becoming the most fearlessly authentic version of yourself. And at first and foremost, the foundational of that is having a healthy mind and body and soul. Because without feeling settled in our mind, body, and soul, we can't move forward to work on all of the things that we want to work. Think about this. Once you have a way to soothe your soul, get fit, eat the right foods, and are at peace with who you are, then you can work on everything else around you. And everything else will simply flow to you because you are deserving of love, of happiness, of joy. You deserve it. So go out and get it. Let me know if you have any questions about what I talked about today. I want you to live the best life that you deserve. And nobody deserves to be unhappy, sad, depressed, or lonely. We choose how we want to live. And for me, right now, living alone is absolutely bliss. So until next week, go live your most fearlessly authentic life and follow me on Instagram and all social platforms at Jody Harrison Bauer. And hope to see you next week. Bye, everyone.